Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today is a day that I have been dreading ever since I've been reacting to the Zombies retrospective that Pat's been putting out. The giant retrospective. Now, I don't know what his opinions are, but if they are what I think they are going to be, I am going to have a very, very hard time not yelling this reaction. So without further ado,
there are very few remakes in COD Zombies that are so fine-tuned and overall so well done that they deserve a retrospective. The Giants is one of them. The Giants.
No, we're gonna hold it in. We're not gonna say. We're gonna wait. We're gonna be civilized. We're gonna be respectful. Calm down, Noah.
It is to Shadows of Evil as Town was to Transit and 5 was to Kino, the weird casual second on-disc map. Locked behind a paywall as DLC, however, the Giant was played less than Shadows, but given its significance in the storyline,
objectively
along with
true,
the only casual in the main lineup, the Giant was incredibly important. Because Shadows was so complex, it was up to the Giant to do all of the heavy lifting for the casual community. And while it didn't add a lot of new content, it brought with it tons of new lore and managed to reimagine the iconic Doris in a totally new and fresh way.
Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it through. No, I'm gonna wait till at least 2 minutes in.
Really, I think the Giant is a shining example of how you should remake a map. So lastly, before we get into it, I just wanted to mention that my analytics show that
subscribe to Patrice. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely thought it was gonna be an ad.
I think it's important first to acknowledge the subtle difference between a remaster and a remake.
Okay, this is important.
It's generally agreed upon that the defining difference between these two very similar pieces of work come down to creative liberty. A remaster is generally quite void of creativity, as it forces itself to stay completely true to the original.
Remaster is, okay, I'm not saying my opinions yet. Remaster is literally updated game, updated graphics. The map itself doesn't change.
Instead, remasters add value with things like updated graphics, bug fixes, the removal of glitches, and a smoother engine. And a lot of the time, these remasters are quite boring because they fail to provide a whole lot of new value. And especially in the realm of Activision, where we've been given things like Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, they are generally underwhelming.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
Notorious for having bad remasters, however. The series had actually seen a few remade maps before we got to the Giant. Resurrection DLC for Black Ops 1 saw a remastered set of War maps. These were true and much needed remasters. We got to enjoy the old favorites on the updated Black Ops 1 engine, free of horrible glitches of World at War.
Very
Quick
true.
Revive worked in solo, the Wonderwaff didn't glitch your jug, and there were no black hole gravity zombies. But really, that and an updated weapon roster was all the Black Ops 1 remaster brought.
Which was perfect for that.
They were necessary, but they didn't provide the same value that something like the Giant brought in.
It's been 2 minutes. Okay, hold on. I want to let him finish this point. But I think understated is the great way he integrated Modern Warfare 2's remastered campaign into that. It was cool, and the same thing with Modern Warfare Remastered, which was the campaign and the multiplayer. It was cool, but there was nothing really new that made it interesting. You know what I mean? Like basically the only difference is if I go back and I play Modern Warfare 2's campaign, I'm going to play the remastered version. There's really nothing else. It was fun I mean, I still played it. It was still fun, but it didn't really add anything. It wasn't really necessary. And while I'm still happy it came out, because like I always say, all content is good content when it comes to like gamers getting releases. And sometimes it doesn't even work better. Like I would much rather go play original COD 4 than Modern Warfare Remastered, because the original COD 4, I can do bounces. I can do these crazy glitches that don't really break the game, but are really fun, and go for sniper clips and stuff that you can't do on the new one because they didn't have those untextured bouncy pads. It's totally different. And I don't think it's very comparable to Zombies, but it's an interesting point.
It's great that they exist for this video, however, as not only do we have OG Doris to compare the Giant to, but this also shows us what a Doris remaster for Black Ops 3 could have been. Playable and fun, but generally pretty boring, uninspired, and something that's easily forgotten about. But again, the Giant is not this, and it's safe to call it a true remake. And so a remake is the other side of the same coin. A remake often has all the things we just talked about, but it takes more creative liberties to improve the map. Our remake takes the same original recipe, but it looks at it and asks, what can we do to make this better? How can we make this old idea feel new, fresh, and interesting? And I think players were lucky enough to see that the Giant completely delivered as a remake. The Giant, as the third iteration of Reese, not only
third
works,
one.
but
Oh my
succeeded
God.
beyond anyone's wildest expectations. So what is it that makes the Giant so good?
The Giant is so boring. The Giant is absolute trash, dude. The only reason it has any value whatsoever is because it's the only casual map you could play on Black Ops 3 on launch. That is the only value it ever held. And now it doesn't even have that value because you could play better maps on the Zombies Chronicles. Maybe I'm too much of a seasoned professional in zombies to have fun with it like I used to, but it was so boring. It was the third reiteration of the same map. There could have been a new casual map, but it was another remake, remaster. Who cares? It was
Well, the cornerstone feature of the Giant is its lore and storyline. What made it feel so new was the fact that it was a
The lore and
return to
story was
somewheres
really
that we
good.
had already been,
I'm talking
but with a
gameplay.
fresh set of eyes. That is to say, it's not simply the same story taking place here. We know how Doris goes.
Okay, this is true.
Richthofen teleports
I'll give
to
him
the
this.
moon,
The story
Samantha's
was
dog
good.
Fluffy
Oh,
gets turned
Fluffy.
into a hellhound, and Maxis gets sent to the ranch. See, the Giant happens to take place at the same factory that we've been
Ranch.
to, but it's a different time and setting with different characters. Well, sort of. It starts with that exact same storyline. It's familiar, with Ultimus Richthofen sending away Maxis and Samantha. But then, our new heroes who were revealed in Origins show up. Dempsey, Nikolai, and Takeo travel here and
It's
confront
so
this
integral.
alternate-
Giant is not almost. It's literally more integral to the story in the rest of the DLCs than the main map was Shadows of Evil.
Knowing what is played out here, it is so cool to see our three heroes confront him about his actions. They reference BO1's chain of events which must not be set in motion. And as Richthofen asks,
Do you know who I am?
so cocky, so confident and maniacal, they almost mock him, which in a way is a mock to the very old formula of zombies. It's literally saying, yeah, we know that formula, but we're the new cool guys here, and we're here to shake it up. And this is set 100% crystal clear as Primus Richthofen steps out of that teleporter, looks his Ultimus self in the eyes with disgust, and kills him. And I really think it's in this cutscene where Jason
was such a
Blundell
good
and the
cutscene,
writing
dude.
team completely and utterly dispel the old baggage of Black Ops 1 zombies. They take that simple, confused, and shaky storyline and they just put it out of its misery. Primus Richthofen shooting
Nice
his
cut, Pat.
former
Nice
self
cut
is the
to
literal
keep the
symbol of
monetization.
Treyarch
Nice
retconning
cut.
that old storyline.
I appreciate
They're
that.
literally killing it. It's shocking, it's exciting, and it does so much for the storyline. After this, we see Richthofen do something to the body, which is really foreshadowing the blood vials as well as the entire quest that these four are about to undergo.
Well,
It's
this is
a
where he
beautiful
gets the soul
cutscene
with
that
the summoning
grounds
key.
and finally reinvents the entire series. And I gotta say, Richthofen shooting his alter ego is one of the most memorable moments in the entire Zombies storyline. And so the Giant communicates to you instantly that this is a map for the lore.
Isn't there a radio on here that like Dempsey talks about like losing his hair and everything like that was never really explained? Like what the F was that all about? I remember that radio. That's besides the point. Okay, is this, see, I'm a little confused right now. Patrick, look at me, Patrick. You've got me on the ropes here. You got me confused and dazed and confused. I thought Zombies Retrospective was gameplay first. It seems like it's been gameplay first because Pat's not the biggest storyline guy. You know, I think he appreciates the storyline and he likes the storyline, but he's not the biggest gameplay or storyline guy. So I feel like storyline has not been the first thing that's been looked at. It's in the other ones. But it is
Storyline
big in
first
this
and
one.
foremost, in a place that just happens to be Derice. And the lore continues with the start of the map. As soon as you spawn in, the dialogue is some of the best that any map ever has. Richtofen is manic from his actions, and as each round he works to calm himself down and remind himself of his greater plan. The dialogue between the characters is amazing as well, and I think the map really starts working to build relationships between the four here. This marks the beginning of them actually becoming close. And we also get tons more of foreshadowing of what is to come. Talk of a special device, which is the summoning key, and Richtofen's plan to set things right.
And then they leave him for dead in Black Ops 4. They literally left Richtofen to die in Black Ops 4, dude. How do we forget about that? Like, oh my gosh. If once again, a BO3 zombies map just makes me realize how much I didn't like BO4's.
The Giant is just beautiful to look at. The soundtrack is also fantastic.
Soundtrack.
You've got the map opener,
Yes.
which is subtle and mysterious, but almost provocative. It really incites the imagination, managing to sound like the beginning.
Okay,
of
so here's
something
where I'm
new.
going to
And
disagree,
that's
because I agree
exactly what
100% on the lore
Giant
part.
is. It even takes the round change melody from Mob of the Dead, which is so good I have no
As
problem.
soon as we get into
Again,
gameplay,
You've
I'm
also
gonna
got
blow
Pack a
up.
Punch music, which gives the feeling
Gonna
of a
explode,
grand, epic
dude.
adventure of something unfolding. There's a very interesting remix for Beauty of Annihilation that manages to work really well with the map. And lastly, there's the game over music. It's nothing groundbreaking, but is a very consistent sound that we will
Gosh,
hear.
that sound effect is ruined for me forever because of Black Ops 3 Custom Zombies. That is the sound that every single Black Ops 3 Custom Zombies map that sucks makes when it loads up. Every single one. And I like, whenever I'm checking maps to see if I want to, like, use them and stream them and stuff, it makes that. And I immediately know it's going to be a trash map.
Black Ops
I've had to
3.
do it
So
so many
overall,
times.
I think the soundtrack is very impactful in contributing to the overall atmosphere. And I just need to say it again, it is a beautiful map. The graphics are so different to the original Derice that it doesn't even feel fair to compare them. Of course, the Giant is technically better, but what I love about the Giant is that the graphics are different. It almost feels like it has 1% comic book in it, and I don't even know if that makes sense, but that's the way I always viewed it. Artistically, it's a very different take from the original.
Is it,
Derice, but it
though?
works great, and yeah, the Giant just looks.
This one's a little shaky. Oh boy, here we go.
Now, if we move towards the realm of content, the Giant didn't really feel like it set out to add a lot. But there still is enough new
Wait.
content that changes the overall dynamic of gameplay. The most important change made here is the addition of Double Pack-a-Punch. Double Pap adds a new dynamic to high rounds, and I think this really allows us to appreciate the map in a
Giant
new light.
is not
Derice
about
was
high rounds, it's
frankly
about catwalk
challenging for
camping
high
and catwalk
rounds, maybe
camping
due to
only.
bugs and oddities with the engine. While Black Ops 1 fixed this, it was still a challenging high round for most players. But the Giant's iteration of Derice really changes the formula. You're not relying on the Wunderwaffe, despite it still being the most effective weapon on the map, and I like that. It's worth your while to gamble for it on the box, but you'll be perfectly fine to simply use any Double Pack-a-Punched weapon. It just feels like a nice casual map that you can train on.
You can't train anywhere. The map is poo-poo potty for training. This catwalk, the map was made to be a catwalk camper. Served its purpose. It was great. Did we need it in BO3? No. We needed a new casual map, a new casual experience. And that's what makes me so mad about the Giant. It literally took up the spot that could have been something for greatness, and it just replaced it with something trash. And again, you could have had all of the storyline still in the map, but not have it be the Giant. And it's 100% in here for nostalgia regions, and I hate it. This is going to be extra controversial here. So you ready? I literally appreciate maps like Alpha Omega more because at least they reinvent and add content to Nuketown that make it a fun map. BO4 engine, you guys know is trash. But I think if Alpha Omega was on the BO3 engine, it would have been a pretty good map. I could have
Also,
been on
the
any
note
map.
of the WonderWAFF, I think it's worth noting how different that weapon feels. The animation and effects of the WonderWAFF were updated,
WonderWAFF did look
and
pretty
it
cool.
really does feel fresh despite being an old design. The way that the WonderWAFF was updated is almost a bigger representation of how the entire map is updated. Fresh and new, but still true to the roots of the original map. And the addition of Gobblegum also adds a new dynamic. Where most BO3 maps can be broken with megas, the Giant is so simple that the use of OP gums does little more than take away from the enjoyment and purpose of the map. That is to say, because the main objective is setting up, when you use megas, you cheat yourself out of the map's experience. And so not only does this mean that players aren't encouraged to use megas on this map, but they're actually discouraged. Classic Gobblegums are all you need, and this leaves players with a great space to play Black Ops 3 in its most raw and true form. There's no Electric Cherry, Widow's Wine, or Shield, or really any buildables for that matter. Gobblegums are
Not a
the
good map
only
to train on
bonus
still.
edge that you've got. And so I
It's
really
really
think
not.
that this map
I don't know where
sees
he's getting that
Gobblegums
from.
done the best. This is also one of the only maps where Treyarch offered players the chance to get free perks.
The free perks is it's such a shame that it's not been a bigger part of BO3 and BO4 because it's
The free drop spawner
it bothers
will
me so
occasionally
much.
give
It
a
really
perk
does.
bottle which can fill your slot with an additional perk. Furthermore, the map has a small Easter egg that can actually allow you to reveal another perk machine. By throwing down monkey bombs in the teleporters, you get an
you get 1
Origins
out of 2.
robot head laser to reveal a perk machine hidden in the snow. It's really cool. However, I think that it was a bad addition as they made the perks random.
Yeah.
Leaving it to chance is very frustrating.
It's
as
like
the two
either
perks
Deadshot
are
or Stamina Up,
controllable.
right?
Deadshot and Stamina Up are both very helpful, but only for specific strategies. If you want to train, you need Stamina Up. If you want to camp, you need Deadshot, and having to reset for it is annoying. I think it would have
Yes.
made a lot more sense to either have it
RNG,
reveal
baby.
2 perks or maybe just make it a Wonder Fizz machine that only has Stamina Up and Deadshot in it. It's a nice Easter egg, but relying on it to get a perk is a little bit
It's really
frustrating.
yeah.
The map also does have
'Cause
a
you need
tiny
Stamina Up if
true
you're
Easter
going
egg,
just high,
which
high
is
rounds.
basically just a remake of Jerice's original fly trap. While a nice callback to Zombie's first Easter egg, I'm sad to say that overall this is actually pretty bad. The lore that we received from this at the time was very exciting. Maxis is able to pinpoint which dimension we're in, and there's so much going on about what he wants to do and where he's at, and he's a different timeline version, and oh, it literally leads to nothing. It was a cool idea that had zero payoff in the end. But second and
Yeah.
worst is the actual in-game reward. Beating this Easter egg provides you with the
Anhilio!
Annihilator Specialist weapon.
Oh,
While
God.
theoretically infinite in ammo, this is a horrible weapon that serves no purpose whatsoever.
It's literally useless to
Okay,
get.
so think about
Again,
this.
another
The
part
Annihilator has the
of what the
strength
gameplay
of a
is just not
pretty
great.
average regular gun, right? It's not pack-a-punch, maybe it's a little bit on the higher end, but it's certainly nothing special. Yet in order to get it, to activate the fly trap, you need a pack-a-punched weapon. So your reward is something weaker than what it takes to unlock.
That's
What?
the Giant for you.
This is one of the single biggest oversights in the entirety of Black Ops 3. And this only looks worse when we consider what the other specialist Black Ops 3 weapons are. The Apothecant Sword,
Yeah.
Ragnarok's, the Skull of Non-Sopway, and a Baby Dragon Zoom Fist
This Baby
Gauntlet.
Dragon was so
Now,
good.
I got invited to Treyarch to play Der Eisendrache early because of a donation that me and some other people in the Zombies community did. And I actually had
remember
the
that, dude.
opportunity to speak with one of the developers on this exact thing. He said they basically
Dude!
just had to take one of
Oh,
the
it
MP
takes me
specialist
back.
weapons and that
It
this one
actually
felt
takes
like
me
the
back.
best choice. And so
Big
while
John
I can
as well
certainly
there.
respect and understand the development constraints, I don't think that this was a very well thought out idea. I think it would have made a lot more sense to bring in the Purifier Specialist weapon, which was a flamethrower. First of all,
I like
Jerice
that.
in World at War is known for being the only Zombies game with a flamethrower. And secondly, it would make thematic sense as you retrieve the weapon from a flaming furnace. So I can totally
like
respect
that.
the fact that
I
they
like that
couldn't
a lot.
make something new, but I find it very disappointing that we didn't get a flamethrower. It would have been some really subtle and respectable fan service, but also would have hopefully provided something of actual use.
I
This
actually
is
really like
the
this is
only
the best
place
idea
that the
he's had
Giant is lacking in
out of
content,
this
but I
episode.
feel like it's extremely
For
important
sure.
to mention. Because when you make a map this small, each piece of content becomes monumentally more significant. And so the Annihilator leaves a giant void in the map, leaving much to be desired. Still though, overall, the Giant is a sound map.
No.
The developers knew that they couldn't
yes,
simply
but
make
it's
a
boring because
home.
we've had
And
it
so
3
instead
times
of
now.
making the
You know what I
map
mean?
Bigger, they made it deeper. They didn't expand upon the actual location like we would see in Black Ops 4 Zombies.
I
with
can't agree,
Egg
man.
or
I really
Alpha
can't.
Omega. Instead, they chose to keep it exactly as it was. And this makes it feel like a remaster. Yet with new storyline, characters, and an atmosphere so different they even changed the weather, they managed to create something truly inspired. And I think in a lot of ways, the Giant saved the
Inspired? You're
release
killing
of
me,
Black
Pat.
Ops 3 Zombies.
You're
Shadows
killing
was so
me.
big, complicated, and a lot of people hated it on launch. This then had the unintended effect of putting an ungodly amount of pressure on.
could have done it with any map.
And seeing how
And
successful Black
why
Ops
the
3 Zombies
Giant?
was, I
Why?
think that shows what a good job the Giant did. The Giant took its burden willingly and did its best to carry the weight where Shadows could not. And so while some people might be tempted to call the Giant a remaster, I think it's much deeper than that. The Giant deserves its title of true remake and really is one of the best examples of how this creation form should be done. It's memorable and nostalgic, but completely fresh, and I believe it's one of
That's
the
what
best
Alpha
piece of
Omega
reproduced
was.
content Treyarch has ever made for zombies.
Alpha Omega is
Now, it's
completely
important to
fresh.
remember
This
that
map
this
isn't
still
completely
is
fresh.
a remake, so it's not going to end up in the top upper echelon of S tier, but it is still a great
Oh,
map.
don't-
It was an iconic.
Pat, if I swear on me, Mom, if you put this in single S tier or A tier, we are gonna fight. I'm literally challenging you right now, Pat. Pat, look me in the eyes. I'm challenging you right now. If you are about to put the Giant in S tier,
Map that again
double S tier,
set
or
the
A tier,
stage for Black Ops 3 Zombies, and I really think the game would not have been the same without it. And so with that said, my final rating for the Giants is an 8.3 out of 10. But as a remake, I
Son
would
of a
actually
gun,
like to
Pat.
give it another rating. I think it's kind of interesting to make a tier list entirely for remakes and remasters and to consider
Oh my
the
God,
fact
you're
of
gonna manage to
what
put it
they
both in
are.
A
And so
and
in the
S, aren't you?
context of being a remake and remaster in this new tier list,
Don't do
I
it.
would actually give it a 9.4 out of 10. The Giant is truly an S tier remake. Oh, and for all of you asking on size, the Giant weighs in at 1 Doris. Anyway, with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching.
You ruined the
If you
video.
are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Make sure to leave a like.
Oh
and,
my God.
Go check out the second channel. We've
go
posted
check
a
out the
ton
second
of
channel
awesome-
because it has way better content than the main channel. Literally, just go like. I'm a Nifty.
Oh snap! What?
I'm a Nifty Smith fan now. Bye, Pat.